I was dead for 4 minutes. That's what the doctor said. 4 minutes. My heart stopped. My brain wasn't getting oxygen. I was clinically gone. But I experienced something that lasted far longer than 4 minutes. Hours, maybe. Days, possibly. Time didn't work the way it does here. And what I saw, what I learned in those 4 minutes, I'm still trying to make sense of 3 years later. Hey everyone, my name is Harold. I'm 82 years old, and I need to tell you about the day I died. Not almost died. Died. Completely. And experienced something that shouldn't have been possible in 4 minutes. Because time broke. Completely broke. And I've never been the same since. Let me tell you what happened. It was September 14th, 2021. I was 79. I was in the hospital for what should have been routine surgery, hernia repair, simple procedure. I'd done all the pre-op work, blood tests, EKG, everything came back fine. Low risk, they said. I went under anesthesia around 8 in the morning, and something went wrong. My heart stopped, just stopped. Code blue. The team rushed in. Started CPR, used the defibrillator. Once, twice, 3 times. The surgeon told me later I was gone for 4 minutes and 11 seconds. From the moment my heart stopped until they got it beating again. 4 minutes. But I wasn't unconscious for 4 minutes. I was somewhere else. And I was there for much, much longer than 4 minutes. The last thing I remember before everything changed was this sensation of falling, like dropping through darkness. And then I was out, floating above the operating table, looking down at myself. I could see everything, my body on the table, the surgical team moving frantically, the controlled panic on their faces, the monitors showing flatline, someone doing chest compressions on my chest, the defibrillator being charged. And I thought, very calmly, I'm dead. But I wasn't scared. I was curious, because I could still think, could still see, could still feel. So was I really dead? Or was this something else entirely? Then everything shifted. I wasn't in the operating room anymore. I was somewhere else, somewhere that looked like nothing I'd ever seen. It wasn't a place exactly, more like space, but not empty space. Space filled with this soft golden light, not bright enough to hurt, just there, everywhere. And I wasn't alone. My brother Jack was there. Jack died in Vietnam in 1968, 53 years ago. And here he was, looking exactly like I remembered him, 22 years old, in his uniform, smiling at me. I tried to speak, realized I didn't need to speak. He could hear my thoughts, and I could hear his. We weren't talking with words. We were just communicating. Directly, thought to thought. He said, and I'll translate this into words, even though it wasn't words, "Hey Harry, you made it." And I said, "Made it where? Am I dead? Is this heaven?" He smiled. "You're between. Not quite there, not quite back. You've got a little time here first." I asked him how long, how much time. He said, "Time doesn't work here the way it works there. Don't worry about it." And then he took my hand. I had a hand somehow, even though I knew my body was on that operating table. And we started moving. Not walking, just moving through this space. And as we moved, I started seeing things, experiencing things. I saw my childhood, not like watching a movie. I was there, living it again. But differently. I could see it from every angle, from my perspective, from my parents' perspective, from Jack's perspective. I saw the day Jack left for Vietnam. I was 15. I remembered being scared for him, but now I felt what my parents felt: the terror, the pride, the helplessness. I felt what Jack felt: the confidence, the duty, the excitement mixed with fear. I experienced that moment from all sides, all at once, and it kept happening, moment after moment, year after year, but not in order, not chronologically, just important moments, significant moments. I saw the day I met my wife, Ellen. We were both 23, at a friend's wedding. I remembered thinking she was the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen. But now I experienced what she felt seeing me for the first time: the attraction, the curiosity, the thought that crossed her mind: I could marry that man. I'd never known that. Never knew she'd thought that the very first time she saw me. I experienced our wedding day from her perspective: the nervousness, the certainty, the overwhelming love she felt walking down that aisle. I'd been so focused on my own feelings that day, I'd never fully realized what it meant to her. I saw our children being born, all 3 of them, but not just from my memory. I felt what Ellen felt. The pain, yes, but also the transcendent joy. The moment she held each baby and felt this love so big it was almost terrifying. The way she looked at me holding our children and felt complete. And it kept going, thousands of moments, spanning 64 years of marriage. But it felt like I was there for weeks, maybe months, experiencing everything, understanding everything. I saw moments I'd completely forgotten. When my daughter Lisa was 7, she'd had a nightmare. I'd gone into her room, sat on her bed, talked to her until she felt safe again. I'd forgotten about that completely. One night out of thousands. But I experienced what Lisa felt, how safe she felt, how that simple act of comfort shaped how she saw me for the rest of her life, how it taught her that the world could be scary, but she wasn't alone. I saw a moment when I was 42. I'd helped a neighbor, old Mr. Chen, change his tire. Took me maybe 20 minutes. I never thought about it again. But I experienced what he felt. He'd been stranded for an hour, was starting to panic, thought nobody would help an old Chinese man in our neighborhood. And then I stopped, helped him, talked to him like he was a person, not a burden. That one interaction changed how he saw the whole neighborhood, made him feel like he belonged. 20 minutes of my life changed his entire sense of community. And I saw the other side too, the times I'd hurt people, times I'd been cruel or thoughtless or selfish. There was a time when my son David was 16. He'd wanted to talk to me about something. I was watching a football game, and I said, "Not now, David. Can't you see I'm busy?" I'd forgotten about it completely, but I experienced what David felt: the rejection, the hurt, the message he received: football is more important than you. That one moment damaged something between us, made him hesitate to come to me with problems for years. 5 seconds of my life, years of impact on my son. And Jack, or whatever Jack was, said, "This is the review. Everyone goes through this. You see the truth of your life, all of it, every action, every consequence, from every perspective." I asked how long this would take, because I'd already experienced what felt like weeks of memories, and we weren't even halfway through my life yet. He said, "It takes as long as it needs to take. Time here isn't like time there. 4 minutes there can be 4 years here, or 4 seconds. It's not the same." And the review continued. I experienced my entire life, not every single moment, but every moment that mattered. every moment that affected another person, from my perspective and from theirs. I saw fights with Ellen, saw them from her side, understood why she was hurt by things I'd said, things I thought were trivial at the time, but cut her deeply. I saw moments of kindness I'd never remembered, a smile to a waitress who was having the worst day of her life, a few dollars given to a homeless man that allowed him to eat that night. Small things that I'd never thought about again, but that rippled out in ways I couldn't have imagined. I saw my father's funeral. I was 41. I'd given the eulogy. And I experienced what my mother felt hearing me speak, how my words helped her grieve, how they gave her permission to remember my father as he really was, flawed but good, how that helped her heal. It went on and on, decades of life reviewed from every angle. And through it all, I learned, I understood. I saw patterns I'd never seen, saw how everything connected, how the smallest action could cascade into enormous consequences, how love multiplied, how cruelty multiplied too. It felt like I was there for months, maybe longer, reviewing 79 years of life from every possible perspective, learning the full truth of what my life had meant. Then Jack said, "You have to go back now." And I said, "How long have I been here?" He said, 4 minutes. They're bringing you back now. 4 minutes. I'd experienced what felt like months in 4 minutes. And before I could ask how that was possible, I was being pulled, fast, like being yanked by a rope. And I slammed back into my body. The pain was immediate and overwhelming. My chest hurt where they'd done CPR. Couldn't breathe properly, couldn't move. But I was back, in my body, in the operating room. I heard someone say, "We have a pulse, he's back." The surgeon's face appeared above me. "Mr. Anderson, you're okay. We had a complication, but you're stable now." 4 minutes, he told me later. I was gone for 4 minutes and 11 seconds, but I'd experienced months, maybe years. I'd reviewed my entire life from every possible perspective. I'd learned things I couldn't have learned. I'd understood things I shouldn't have been able to understand. In 4 minutes. How is that possible? It's not. Not by the laws of physics as we understand them. Not by the way time works in this reality. But I'm telling you, it happened. I spent 2 weeks in the hospital recovering. And at first I didn't tell anyone what happened. Because how do you explain that you experienced months in 4 minutes? That time broke completely? That you reviewed your entire life from every person's perspective? But 3 years later I've told Ellen, told my kids. Some believe me, some think it was a hallucination. Oxygen deprivation creating vivid false memories. And I understand that. It sounds impossible. But I know what I experienced, and it changed me. I'm more patient now, because I understand that every moment matters. Every interaction affects someone in ways I can't see. Every word I speak ripples out. I'm more forgiving of others and of myself, because I experienced my own life review. I felt the impact of my mistakes, really felt them from the other person's perspective. And I understood that everyone is doing their best, and that mistakes are just part of being human. I'm less afraid of death, obviously, because I know what's waiting, but also of life, of taking chances, of being vulnerable. Because I understand now that the connections we make, the love we share, that's what actually matters. That's what lasts. I'm 82 years old. I died for 4 minutes. And in those 4 minutes, I experienced something that shouldn't be possible. A complete life review that took months. Understanding that came from experiencing every moment from every perspective. Time broke, completely broke. And I learned that whatever consciousness is, whatever we really are, it exists outside of time as we know it, in a different kind of time. Time that can expand and contract. Time that can hold years of experience in 4 minutes of Earth time. I don't understand it, can't explain it, but I know it's real. Because I lived it. And now I'm living differently, more carefully, more kindly, more aware that every single moment matters in ways I'll never fully see. That's all I wanted to say. Thanks for listening to an old man who died for 4 minutes and experienced eternity, and came back to tell you that time is stranger than we think, and life is more precious than we know.